Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from all around the world. My name is Victoria Papp, Smart City Consultant for the ITU, and it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the webinar series on digital transformation for cities and communities. Today's episode will be on the topic of a one-of-a-kind platform for digital transformation, the U4SSC Austrian Country Hub. The episode is co-organized by ITU and the United for Smart Sustainable Cities Country Hub in Austria. Digital transformation provides a unique opportunity to advance global goals, and it is increasingly being embraced to drive urban governance, address socio-spatial disparities, and promote integrated sustainable development. It is clear that digital transformation is here to stay and can help make cities and communities smarter, more competitive, and efficient. With the right tools and resources, cities can leverage digital transformation to better serve its inhabitants, enable and empower them to build inclusive and resilient communities. This webinar will introduce the United for Smart Sustainable Cities Country Hub in Austria, which was established in Vienna by the Austrian Economic Center. This episode will present the many activities of the Hub in promoting the U4SSC Key Performance Indicators for smart sustainable cities. It will also highlight the benefits and advantages of implementing the U4SSC KPIs in Austrian cities. So stay tuned for this exciting episode. I see many participants have connected today, and I look forward to your active participation during our question and answer period. I invite you all to drop a quick message in the chat stating your name and the country from which you are connecting from. We have an excellent list of panelists for today's webinar, and we are also very privileged to have with us Dr. Bilal Jamoussi, Chief of the Study Groups Department of ITU Standardization Bureau, and Dr. Barbara Kohm, U4SSC Country Hub Leader and Vice President, Austrian Central Bank, who will be providing today's welcome remarks. So without further delay, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Jamoussi to give us his opening remarks.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, dear colleagues. It is my privilege to welcome you to episode number 20, a one-of-a-kind platform for digital transformation, the U4SSC Austrian Country Hub. This webinar is being co-organized with the Austrian Economic Center. As a result of the significant challenges resulting from rapid urbanization, cities across the world are increasingly embracing digital transformation and implementing smart city initiatives to upgrade existing urban services, to enhance quality of life of inhabitants, and promote sustainable development in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. To provide improved quality of life, smart cities should aim to adopt various applications to increase the efficiency and accessibility of services. However, given the dynamic nature of the urban ecosystem, it is also essential for cities to be able to monitor their progress on different fronts. Additionally, as each city is different, there is no one-size-fits-all model for establishing smart cities. The envisioning of a smart city should be a multi-stakeholder endeavor, with the city having the possibility of learning from others' experience. The U4SSC, or United for Smart Sustainable Cities, is a United Nations-led platform to facilitate dialogue and knowledge exchange on initiating the transition to smart sustainable cities. This initiative is supported by 18 United Nations agencies and programs. Through its various thematic groups, this initiative is able to deliver frameworks, guidelines, and use cases for cities to drive digital transformation across domains by leveraging emerging technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things. However, shaping robust future smart cities also has other building blocks to ensure their success. implementation and monitoring smart city projects continue to remain a challenge for urban stakeholders. In this regard, the United for Smart Sustainable Cities Key Performance Indicators, or KPIs, serve as an ideal tool for cities to utilize and assess their progress in line with the SDGs and benchmark successful measures. To provide regions and country-specific support, the concept of U4SSC hubs was envisioned, and I'm pleased to announce that the first U4SSC hub was established in Austria, hosted by the Austrian Economic Center in Vienna. These hubs function as an invaluable vehicle for furthering the U4SSC activities by providing Austrian cities unique guidance on their digital transformation journeys, promoting the adoption of U4SSC KPIs, and conducting regular knowledge-sharing events on driving smart city transition. This webinar will be an ideal opportunity to learn more about the benefits of having hubs and celebrating the achievement of the first U4SSC hub. I myself am looking forward to learning about their activities. Here, I'm wishing the first U4SSC hub many more years of success, given their commitment and dedication to the digital transformation cause. I wish you all a fruitful webinar ahead, and we hope to keep you all involved in the U4SSC activities. I would like now to pass the floor back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Jamousi. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Dr. Kolm to give us her opening remarks. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. Over the past decade, the rapid advances in technologies has also trickled into the urban development domain, which gave birth to the concept of smart cities. However, with time, we have moved beyond the technocentric notion of the smart cities and now envision the overall city planning encompassing urban design, urban planning with a people-centric approach as part of the overall city discourse. We are now also mindful of the interconnected systems within the smart city ecosystem with the integration of physical and digital layers which can impact the socio-economic fabric of cities. Additionally, in the quest for smart cities, we have also realized that there is no one-size-fits-all model and that cities should, on the one hand, not compete with each other, but also should learn from each other for the smart city tag. For the transition to a smart city, it is essential that cities are able to benchmark their best practices and monitor their progress, and also on an annual basis in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. The United for Smart Sustainable Cities, U4SSC, as we call it in short, supported by 18 nations, agencies, and programs, is a global platform for engaging in smart city-related dialogue with like-minded urban stakeholders. Within the U4SSC framework, a set of smart and sustainable city key performance indicators, we call them KPIs in short, have been formulated. This series of KPIs provide an ideal measurement tool for the multiple cross-dimensional values within the smart city ecosystem. These KPIs have been implemented in over 150 cities across the globe for cities to self-assess their smart city journeys. We will learn more about those KPIs during today's webinar, so please stay tuned with us. As a key player in this process to support country and region-specific smart city transformations, the idea of the U4SSC Hub was brought up within the U4SSC initiative. I'm honored to note that the first ever U4SSC Hub was established in Vienna, Austria, hosted at the Austrian Economic Center to connect and facilitate cooperation between the public and private sector for the establishment of smart cities. On the implementation side, U4SSC hubs also support the implementation of projects and builds partnerships and also rallies experts at the national and local level to contribute to the various thematic groups of the U4SSC. I'm pleased to announce that the city of Wels in Austria is also one of the 150 cities to implement the U4SSC KPIs, and I'm sure there are many, many more to come from the region. Our work through the hub is not just limited to the dissemination of knowledge, as we also play a key role in the implementation of the U4SSC KPIs, indeed making it a one-of-a-kind platform. I'm sure that this hub will move from one milestone to another. We will also learn more on this during today's webinar, and I really am thankful to all our speakers. We have an interesting lineup today, and I do not want to make more time, as I'm myself keen to listen to their insights and see the U4SSC work lay the foundation of path-breaking activities across the world. So without further ado, I will pass the floor back to our MC, and thank you very much. Victoria, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Combe, for your welcome remarks. Before we jump into today's episode, I would like to take a few moments to run through some housekeeping rules. All questions from the audience will be taken during the Q&A session after all presentations have been delivered. Participants can submit their questions by typing in the Q&A box. When submitting a question, kindly type first the name of the panelist to whom the question is addressed, followed by the question. Please note that today's episode is being recorded, and the recording will be made available on the webinar's website. All the presentation materials will also be made available on the website after today's episode. So with those housekeeping rules aside, it is my pleasure to also be your moderator for this webinar. I'm very excited that today we will have the opportunity to discuss the importance of smart sustainable cities and the U4SSC initiative. Today, we will be joined by 3 distinguished speakers. Our first speaker is Dr. Andreas Weber. He is the senior expert for the Federal Ministry of Finance in Austria. Dr. Weber is the head of the Director General's office and senior expert for telecommunications, postal services, and mining. In his position, he works strongly together with the main stakeholders of Austria's industry and economy to further promote the extractive industry and digitalization for the whole Directorate General. So without further delay, I'd like to pass the floor to Dr. Weber. Over to you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to speak to you today and be a part of such top-class panelists. Let me give you a very warm welcome and thank you for presenting many opportunities with this event. We have accompanied the ITU focus group from its beginning steps, when the contemporary Vice Minister Reichert was working as the Federal Minister of Transport, Innovation and Technology. Since then, we have always been able to rely on a fruitful cooperation. Within our department, in the Federal Ministry of Finance, for telecommunication, postal services and mining, we want to connect digitalization closely with the industry and Austria's economy. Therefore, raw materials are essential. Globally speaking, they are heterogeneously distributed. Experts say that Europe is underexplored and could perform much stronger with its own mineral resources. Think about, there will be no sustainable city without any raw material. However, as a result of various influences such as climate actionism, non-wage labor costs, and over-regulation, Europe will not be able to achieve import independence as quickly as we would wish for. As a result, the procuration of raw materials for our industry stays a crucial key factor for its manufacturing capability. We see different kinds of supply chains models. One is crude oil and natural gasoline through pipelines. Next, there are raw materials such as ores overseas to Europe, and third, regional routes of transportation within the nations and respectively Europe for crushed stones, gravel, and the like. In the future, the question of transportation of LNG to the terminals and of hydrogen via pipelines will take on another role for all the cities in whole Europe. In the context of our digitalization offensive for raw materials, together with the Technical College Styria, the Complexity Science Hub, and the Austrian Institute of Economic Research, Vienna, we plan to establish a tool that allows us to monitor relevant supply chains and react to certain events on time. We, the Department for Telecommunication, Postal Services and Mining, are more than happy to attend and accompany this event today. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I wish you all many interesting presentations, and we are certain that today marks the foundation for many future events and interesting conversations. Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Weber, for that fruitful presentation. Our second speaker today is Ms. Cristina Buetti. She is the focal point on environment and smart sustainable cities at the ITU. Ms. Buetti is also the counselor of ITUT Study Group 20, Internet of Things, IoT, and Smart Sustainable Communities at the International Telecommunication Union. She also serves as TSB ITU focal point for Latin America. So without further delay, I pass the floor to Ms. Buetti.
Thank you so much, Victoria, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all colleagues and attendees that are joining this webinar from around the world. So I'd like to share with you some information on the activities that we have been carrying out in the framework of the United for Smart Sustainable Cities, as well as at the ITU. Starting with, something that I think it was mentioned in previous presentation by Dr. Weber, and the importance actually to allow a circular economy, which is, certainly the transition from a linear to a circular economy, and the ability also, to maximize the use of raw materials, links very much with some of the challenges that cities are facing today, including traffic congestions, reducing GHG emissions, air pollutions, energy and water uses, not to mention the financial constraints and, well, the pandemic, which is certainly another, challenge that we had all to face, at least in the last 2.5 years. But with challenges, there is also an opportunity, and digital transformation offers a great opportunity to address those challenges, and especially, maximizing the use of ICT and digital technologies to increase citizen engagement, to deliver more efficient services, to, for example, improve measuring and monitoring. And in all of this, what the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, does. So the ITU is the oldest United Nations specialized agency responsible for information and communication technologies. And through its research activities, standards, publication, global initiatives, and projects, it is helping cities and countries cities all over the world actually on their envisioning their digital transformation pathways, identifying the challenges and the opportunities on how to become smart and more sustainable, finding concrete technological solution by employing really the global best practices and providing expert guidance, as well as actually allowing, information sharing. And one of these activities is indeed this webinar, which provides an excellent opportunity to learn from each other. As part of the standards work, the lead study group in ITU is ITT Study Group 20 on IoT and smart cities and communities. This is a study group that develops standards and guidelines on different issues, including interoperability, including, for example, producing, identifying requirements capability and architectures for cities, as well as, looking on how to overcome security challenges while ensuring privacy and trust, and, identifying methods and methodologies that can allow, an assessment in terms of development and application of key performance indicators. To complement the work of the ITT Study Group 20, the United for Smart Sustainable City Initiative, U4SSC, is a UN initiative supported by 18 UN entities and coordinated by ITU, UNECE, and Inhabitants, which provides a global platform to advocate for public policies to really encourage the use of digital technologies to accelerate digital transformation in cities and communities. It currently has 6 thematic groups that are working to develop a series of reports and guidelines on different topics, including artificial intelligence in cities, or procurement for smart sustainable cities, or enabling people-centered cities through digital transformation, just to name a few. And as part of the activities that are being done by this open platform, the U4SSC has published a series of reports, including, latest reports on smart tourism, for example, providing information on how to offer more secure and resilient destinations, or, for example, on smart public health, emergency management and ICT implementation, or, guidelines and tools and mechanisms to finance, for example, smart city projects. All of this is part of an overall journey that cities have to embrace when they really want to become smart and more sustainable. And certainly achieving smartness and sustainability is a journey, not a point in time. Cities have to be resilient. They have to look really on how enhance actually and integrate climate and environmental policies, focusing also on mitigation and adaptation measures, combining, with, of course, whole the use of new technologies to provide, better services. And how this journey starts, it certainly starts by, setting realistic targets, exploring how data can be used to develop better policies, how new technology and tools can be also exploited in that sense. It requires citizens' engagements, partnership development, and it's also important to envisage the impact assessment. So there is really a need to measure impact of smart city project in alignment with local and local, national, and international commitments. Last but not least, it's important to take into consideration the possibility to identify innovative financing sources, because we all know that we are living in difficult times. Public money is not enough, and it's important also to identify new source of fundings that can be used at the city level. In trying to help cities actually to assess their level of smartness and the level of security, and as well as sustainability and progress towards the SDGs. The U4SSC has developed a set of key performance indicators which are based on an ITU standard. Now, these indicators are unique, and you know, they have really the ability to give the city the possibility to evaluate the impact and contributions of digital technologies in making cities smarter and more sustainable. They have been implemented in over 150 cities, and as it was mentioned by Dr. Combe at the very beginning, including in Wales in Austria. We have documented the reporting of the KPIs worldwide through the publication of city snapshots, verification reports, fact sheets, and case studies. Indeed, actually, the latest case study that has been published is the case study on the city of Daegu. And then, very recently, actually in February this year, we were honored to receive the support of the Austrian minister in establishing actually the first U4SSC Country Hub, which certainly provides an excellent opportunity to accelerate the cooperation between public and private sector, and especially facilitate knowledge transfer. Now, all of this is really an opportunity to see this, so how the city get really involved in the implementation of the KPIs, and also how the cities can test the KPIs. Well, we do have actually a process which starts with a letter from the mayor that showing the commitment of the cities to become part of the U4SSC program. And then, basically there is the part that concerns the data collection, which means really collecting the data relating to the KPIs till when the city has collected all the data, and an external auditor, a verifier, basically set up a meeting and verify that the data has been collected correctly. Now, all of this has been made possible thanks to the excellent collaboration that we have been having actually with cities, also with the U4SSC Hub in Austria, and the Austrian government, and obviously the verifier that has been accompanied us for now a couple of years, Dr. John Smichiglas, that you will hear more, and will give you an overview, a more detailed overview of the KPIs. The process is not difficult. It requires time. The ITU has been, supporting many cities, and we are ready to do it. There has to be also a strong component on the willingness, for example, to complete the collection of data, but also, to be able to receive the suggestions that will be made by the auditor together with the ITU on which are the areas where, for example, further action is needed after having implemented the KPI. The city ultimately will receive a verification report. It can decide to disclose the verification report and make it publicly available, or to keep it as an internal document. Certainly, this is a real effective policy tool that provides the city with, visual representation on how the city is doing in its smart city journey. And with that, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and over to you, Vittoria.
Thank you so much, Ms. Buetti. What a fantastic presentation, which really set the stage for digital transformation in smart, sustainable cities and communities, and also introduced us to the U4SSC initiative. Now, our third speaker today is Mr. John Smichiklis. He is currently president of JD Global Sustainability Associates, Inc., and works with clients, cities, and UN agencies globally to address issues related to climate change, sustainability, and corporate responsibility. In addition, John also works with the U4SSC initiative in helping cities globally implement key performance indicators to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So with that, I pass the floor to you, Mr. Smichiklis.
Thank you, Victoria. So we'll proceed with my presentation. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome from now sunny Toronto in Canada. Oh, my apologies. Let's share this again. Thank you. And we are going to go through a brief presentation on the U4SSC Key Performance Indicators. The U4SSC Key Performance Indicators are based on the ITU-T standard 4903, originally published in 2016, which developed from the focus group on smart sustainable cities that started in 2013. The standard was recently updated in 2022. And to give you just a quick overview, the key performance indicators are in 3 dimensions of economy, environment, society, and culture. A number of categories. We've divided the KPIs into what we call core indicators that should be able to be reported by every city. 36 advanced indicators that give an enhanced picture of reporting for a city. We also divide them into smart, structural, and sustainable indicators. And some of the KPIs are disaggregated into additional data points so that there's over 130 data collection points that we ask cities to collect. To give you an idea of how we developed the KPIs, we wanted to make sure that the entire set was comprehensive so that we would cover all aspects of a smart, sustainable city. We wanted the KPIs we call availability. We wanted them to be sort of quantitative and collectible, also so that the data would be available. So we went through a couple of rounds of piloting with the KPIs in cities, and through that process, modified the KPIs to ensure that cities actually understood and had the data available. We believe that the KPIs should be simple and easy to understand for stakeholders. And the last sort of function really is timeliness, so that they give you a good indication of the emerging issues in smart, sustainable cities. When we developed the KPIs, what we did was, as we put them together, we put together a full description on each KPI within our methodology document. So we describe the rationale for how we chose the indicator, why we chose the indicator, how it should be interpreted, what we call benchmarking trends. So is a positive or negative trend considered more desirable? And then we provide a full methodology for calculating the KPI, the value to be reported, and we provide guidance on potential sources where the data can be collected. And to give you a sort of a brief overview, here is how the KPIs are described within our methodology document. This one happens to be traffic fatalities. So again, a good clear description, traffic fatalities per 100,000 inhabitants. We give you some rationale and as to why this is important. We tell in terms of benchmarking, that a declining trend should be pursued because it's obviously better to have fewer traffic fatalities. Some sources of information, the methodology on how to collect it, the unit to report, and the data sources potentially that are available. We also give a reference to the SDGs so that this can be used as a methodology for the voluntary local reviews or other ways of reporting progress to the SDGs. So how do these U4SSC KPIs work? As Ms. Boetti went through in terms of describing the process, when we've done the verification, one of the key things we put together is a number of reports for the cities so that they can either internally or externally provide information as to how the data that they're reporting and sort of what the progress is. One of the key things that the KPIs can be used is to track progress year over year. While it's useful to get information once, it's more useful to get information on an ongoing basis to see what the trends are. And one of the key features of our U4SSC program is the visuals that we've developed through our benchmarking program that give cities an indication of their progress to the benchmarks we've set. And those benchmarks could be to meet the SDGs, to meet other UN goals, for instance, UNICEF, ITU, UNESCO, etc., or they could be compared to leading performance of cities globally. So to give you a little more detailed description of the KPI structure, we have the three dimensions of economy, environment, society, culture, sub-dimensions within each of those. So that is further splits the dimensions. And then within each sub-dimension, we then also now have developed categories. So this allows us to group the KPIs in these areas and set the benchmarking so that we can then benchmark not only the KPI level, but the category, sub-dimension, and dimension level to give cities a better idea of their performance. To give you an example of some of the KPIs, we have it under, for instance, things such as ICT or smart cities. So we'll look at the implementation of smart water meters, shared vehicles, e-government initiatives, or things around environment. So we'll look at GHG emissions. Under society and culture, we look at stuff, a KPI such as adult literacy. So these gives you an idea of the breadth and scope of the KPIs. But again, we ask to look through the standard and the methodology document for more information. And now I just want to briefly go through a couple of the cities that we've worked with. I've had the opportunity to work with cities on almost every continent and going through the verification process and putting together the reports. This is the report for Wels in Austria. And so this gives you an indication here of our benchmarking visual and our snapshot report. In this case, we use a simple traffic light system, red, yellow, and green. And we added a sort of a darker green for the highest level of performance. We also add in a number of other colors here where we don't put together a benchmarking. There's a number of KPIs that just simply collect information, we don't benchmark. And then we add the light blue color, and then we add the sort of the purple gray color here for those KPIs that a city was unable to report for some reason and didn't have the data. So this allows the city, for instance, to look at it and say, which of the areas do we show as, say, yellow or red? Why is that performance considered benchmark at a sort of a needs improvement service? And is there an issue that we may want to take a look at? So for, let's say, a smaller city that might have something about, smart traffic monitoring, for instance, maybe look at it and say, wow, we don't actually have a lot of traffic monitoring, but traffic is a very big issue. So that, we looked at in a larger city, if they have poor performance in that area, because traffic can be a major issue, that could be an area of focus. So the KPIs allow people to track their progress, perform that trends analysis, use that benchmarking to look at programs and policies as they need to implement. It allows them some sort of comparison to potentially results from other cities, and they can look at sort of the benchmarking wheels from other cities. Another city that we had the honor of recently completing was Daegu in the Republic of Korea. And we not only did a data collection, but a full case study, and we hope people will go to the U4SSC website and read all of these reports that are available publicly. And again, now we see a sort of the same type of benchmarking, little different performance. And this again highlights areas potentially that the city can take a look at, look for areas of improvement, see whether that, policies, for instance, in areas of, let's say, transport here or energy are needed to improve their performance, so that the cities can become smarter and more sustainable. So to give you a quick little highlight of some of the advantages of KPIs, the U4SSC KPIs are based on the first set, based on an international standard, which is supported by, it's now 17 UN agencies and programs. Because of the way we put together our reports, our benchmarking and verification process, it's a strong policy tool that can be relied upon by cities. The cities can use it on an ongoing basis to not only assess their own progress, but also report to various stakeholders. That could be citizens, politicians, other interested actors, or even form the basis of a SDG voluntary local reviews. So we've already seen that this has allowed cities to develop better strategies for management. So when they understand where they are, potentially they ask themselves questions, and those questions always lead to what do we need to do to collect maybe even better data, maybe better policies, maybe better management structures. And since all the KPIs are linked to SDGs, these will help cities achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, which are necessary if we're going to address the issues of climate change and sustainability going forward. So I want to thank you very much for the time. Again, here's the information to get contacted. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Smichiklis, for your insightful presentation into the key performance indicators and providing those great city examples. I'd like to now move us to the Q&A portion of this session. My first question is going to be directed to Dr. Weber. The question is, how can digitalization help you in the field of mining to contribute to securing raw materials? Over to you.
Well, we see 4 different supply models: pipelines, overseas and internal, within Europe or within the nations, overseas shipping traffic, so inner European transport. They all have various dependencies of the global market and therefore different risk exposures. With this tool I spoke previously, we want to illustrate the changes through data collection and data evaluation with the complexity science. so artificial intelligence. So we can react very, very early in field of an emergency, in field of an event. Thank you.
Very interesting, a terrific response. Thank you, Dr. Weber. Our next question is going to be for Ms. Buetti. And the question is, what are some of the key emerging topics coming next from the U4SSC, and how can people get involved?
Thank you, Victoria. That's really a great question. Certainly one of the topics that it's now be discussed is digital transformation, and the importance actually to provide cities with clear pathway on how it can be accelerated, and in terms of setting the right policies, ensuring the necessary technologies are made available to address the urban challenges that each city has. And let us remember that each city is unique. So I think that's really important. Another topic which is emerging is the multiverse, and how we can look not only at physical cities but also digital cities, and the possible interaction, and how that type of interaction will affect lives of inhabitants. And last but not least, in importance is especially after the results of COP27, so the importance to focus also on resilient cities. Those are three key topics. They are not the only ones, but we really take the opportunity to encourage all attendees of this webinar to join the work of the U4SSC. It's an open platform, it's for free, and you have really the opportunity to make a difference, sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and also usually reports contains use cases, so that's also a great opportunity to be able to leverage on each other expertise instead of duplicating efforts. Thank you, Victoria.
Wonderful. It's great to hear how the U4SSC is staying on top of the ever-changing digital world, and that people can get involved and have the opportunity to contribute to this valuable work. That's great. Fantastic. So our last question for today will be for Mr. Smitchiklis, and the question is, when you concluded your presentation with the advantages of the U4SSC KPI program, I wanted to ask, how difficult is it to implement these key performance indicators? Are they tailored towards larger cities, or can any city implement them?
Thank you, Victoria. It's interesting in that, first of all, the KPIs were developed to be globally relevant. They are relevant for every city. So we have had large global cities such as Singapore and Dubai implement them. And we have had small communities in Norway, in Switzerland, Tunisia, Ghana, and Argentina implement them. Communities as small as 2,000 people, and communities as large in the millions, and kind of everything in between. And what we have found is that regardless of the size of the city, we believe that the experts who developed them in such a way that all cities are able to collect the data, they have the data available. And that's sort of a result of not only the way they were developed, but the piloting process to make sure that cities could collect the data. So KPI is relevant for all cities, and we have found that almost all cities can collect somewhere between 90 to 100% of the KPIs. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's great to hear that this set of KPIs is truly tailored towards a wide range of cities and can be implemented globally. That's wonderful. So with that, I'd like to thank all of our speakers for their time today and providing their expertise. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Mr. Paolo Gemma, Vice Chair, U4SSC, for his closing remarks. Over to you.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for all your nice work of today. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everyone. I would like to thank you, all of your kind attention today and your contribution to today's discussion. What we have all learned today, I hope in a nice way, is that smart sustainable cities leverage emerging technology is being increasingly viewed as a primary driver for initiating digital transformation. With a focus on improving efficiency of urban operation, competitiveness, and environmental protection, smart cities are capable of improving the overall quality of life of its current as well as future inhabitants. Emerging technology like IoT coupled with AI and other emerging technology possess the capacity to act as the lifeline of smart city, facilitating the collection of a big amount of information from a very huge number of machine, device, sensor, actuator, and other objects, and assisting with efficient data collection and supporting decision making. However, merely the adoption of this technology is not enough to drive digital transformation, given the complexity of city system. This is where initiatives like the Unit for Smart Sustainable City, supported by 17 United Nations agencies and programs, are an indispensable platform for the global smart city discourse. Supported by the on-field action-oriented activity or Unit for Smart Sustainable City Hub, the initiative has made a significant step in providing urban stakeholders with a correct guidance on driving digital transformation. Keep in mind that two cities are not the same. Any city has its particularity. I am pleased to note that the adoption of UN for Smart Sustainable City KPI has crossed around 150 cities worldwide, as said before by John. Unity for Smart Sustainable Hub, such as the one in Austria, has further supported the implementation of this KPI for cities, helping them on monitoring the annual progress in line with the Sustainable Development Goal. I would like to take this opportunity to commend Dr. Barbara Kohl and the Austrian Economic Center for their foresight in realizing the benefit of having such a hub and move a step forward to host the first ever United for Smart Sustainable City Hub. I am pleased to note also that the city of Wales in Austria has implemented the Unit for Smart Sustainable Cities KPI. The Unit for Smart Sustainable City Hub in Austria opened the way for many cities expressing interest in hosting Unit for Smart Sustainable Cities Hubs too. This is a testament to the effort made by the Austrian Economic Center and the Austrian government, and we appreciate a lot of this. With the hope that the first ever Unit for Smart Sustainable City Hub move from strength to strength, I thank you all for your participation and attention. Since this is the last webinar to be hosted under the Digital Transformation for City and Community web series for this year, in 2022, I would also like to take this opportunity to wish you a very happy and prosperous new year. Thank you to all the speakers present here with us. Thank to Victoria and all the technicians that realized this webinar. And thank you very much to ITU for hosting this webinar, which will be continued to be held in 2023. And I hope to have all of you with us. Thank you very much for your presence here, for your attention. The webinar now is ended.